Okay.
Welcome, pirates, stowaways, and singing medical holograms, to episode 410 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 6th of July, yes, on Tuesday. Hope everyone got the message. And featuring The Curse of the Black Spot, written by Steve Thompson and starring Matt Smith as the Doctor, Karen Gillan as Amy Pond Williams, and Arthur Darvill as Rory Williams. I am Bill Sylvia, the writer in black, and I'm wondering why I still go outdoors when I don't have to during the summertime. With me are Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Outdoors is evil.
Mad Matt Winchell,
I almost died today.
and Thomas Fireheart.
Are they really pirates if none of them are drunk?
Not all pirates are
Um,
frickin' Jack Sparrow.
Not all of them
Get-
are constantly
Well,
seeking
I
the
wasn't
rum.
even making that. I wasn't
So-
even making that comparison directly, but it's kind of funny that none of them are drunk.
So before we start the banter, I'm assuming, given your work schedule, that we haven't done any sort of Richard Donner tribute in the opening bump or anything, right?
Oh, yeah. No, sadly not.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, shout out to Richard Donner.
Yep.
For
Director
tho-
of
for those-
Superman, Omen, Goonies, and I'm sure a host of other.
Yeah, for those
equally
who are
well-known
unenlightened.
things.
Well, actually, not even just the first Superman. His cut of the second Superman is also out there now.
Hmm.
And actually, I have seen it, and I'm varying with it. There's some things I do like about his cut better. There are some things I like about the other one better.
What one of these days I will get an HBO trial or subscription. Well, it would take a subscription to watch them all and watch the Superman movies that weren't made by Zack Snyder. However, I recently discovered that the Shout Factory streaming service is free, or $3 with no commercials, which means that there's competition for which one I'm going to start looking at next.
Shop Factory's pretty good, at least
Yeah.
on DVD.
They have a lot of Toku.
They have a lot of Toku. They have Mystery Science Theater. They have.
Yep.
God, the list goes on.
I honestly
so-
don't think HBO Max has the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Yeah, I've only heard of it being released on DVD, and that's about it.
Hmm.
Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman The Quest for Peace, Superman the movie, it does not have the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Unless there's some sort of
Gotcha.
weird
Yeah.
option hidden in there, but I doubt it.
I think it would be there considering they've got Justice League and then Zack Snyder's Justice League as a separate entry.
That's it. I still haven't seen a Superman movie that wasn't starring Henry Cavill, so I still need to
Shame.
dig through HBO's library sooner or later.
Even if it's not perfect, the second movie is still really good.
And the first one is amazing.
And the first one's fantastic. The third one is hokey, and the fourth one is a bit stupid.
Mhm. Yeah, because at that point it wasn't the original directors, it was
Yeah.
whoever they could find. And the company that was making them was slowly going downhill.
Oh, it wasn't just slowly by the fourth one. That was a falling rock.
Well, yeah, because there was also Supergirl in there by the same company. And that was, yeah.
Invisible monsters.
Yeah.
So who wants to tell us about their week?
I'm going to be getting out of the hospital tomorrow.
You
I'd
are?
say May, because it's a possibility.
Knocking on
Awesome.
wood. I'm not sure if any of the wood here is real, but I'm knocking on it.
Yep, if not tomorrow, then Thursday.
Okay.
This is because I've opted not to get surgery to turn me into a cyborg. Because I learned today that it only had about a 30% chance of helping.
Oof.
And a
Yeah,
lot
that's-
more chance of going wrong.
Yeah, that's not good optics.
Mm-hmm. And it would have been nice if they told me that half a week ago, but they didn't.
No, of course they
Instead,
didn't when they
they
initially
were
started to talk about it. Of course.
Instead, they were touting on it like it was the second coming. Instead, they were just trying to piss my money away, apparently, or piss my insurance money away. But yeah, so I'm like, no, and they wanted to knock out my front teeth to do that, which means I would have to give up on this podcast because I would be talking like this for the rest of my life, and that's not happening.
So I've made more contact with Quick Trip. They apparently are definitely looking to hire me. So much so that, in fact, they asked me to come in before work today and gave me a drug test. When I got to work today, I was constantly, while I was working, I was just constantly thinking to myself, so when am I going to try and tell them that I think I'm going to have to quit? And then the lady that I know her first part of her name is Mary. There's like 2 Marys in our store, so I'm hard pressed to remember which Mary it was. But she's an older gal. She was a previous manager, and she was telling me, so how about 40 hours next week? And I about broke down right there. I'm like, I want to. You guys are great. Love working with you guys, but I can't keep up. I am breaking down physically. I was to the point that this morning I couldn't even put food in me, and I was running on water like a half the day today. And I've been not only have I been worried about Randy, but I've also been worried about my grandmother because lo and behold, I found out that she apparently wasn't waking up one evening. Thankfully, a couple hours later, they checked on her again because she was still otherwise all her signs were fine. So they checked on her a couple hours later, and she willingly woke up a lot more easily, and memory was fine and everything. So it's like, okay. By the way, my last grandparent is on assisted living right now. So there's like a lot of that kind of panic going on, and the fact that I'm really new to being back on my feet and working.
Right.
And they keep forcing more and more hours, and the fact that they keep changing literally almost every day at some points, I can't keep up, and it is breaking me down. And she very understandingly let me come back up front, sit on a fan for a bit, drink some water, and we kind of talked over the schedule for the rest of the week. Friday will be a little bit shortened, dropping Saturday entirely. They probably wouldn't need me at that point anyways. I'll be working additional 3 days. And she just wanted me for today to finish up the freezer since the freezer truck was coming today.
Inconsistency is bad enough if you are used to it.
Yeah.
But if you haven't been steadily doing that kind of job, that's a job that'll tear you apart if you don't pace yourself.
Yeah, and there's no way to pace myself. It's go and then go back home.
Well,
and
pacing yourself would be doing what they originally told you, and X amount of hours per week, and not doubling it every week.
Yeah,
they almost doubled it like the first week before I even started. So yeah,
right. They doubled it and then doubled it again and then doubled it again. It sounds like so.
Just about. So it's just like, yeah, I can't keep this up. I am literally burning out, and it did not help today either with our heat wave that I am literally melting as I'm helping with the freezer stuff. I am packing away all this frozen food, and as I'm doing so, I'm noticing I'm still sweating even with the freezer doors open. Like, I cannot cool down. I get everything done. Say my goodbyes for today. Find out that the truck, after I get home, I find out the truck's going to be delayed till 5:30 tomorrow evening.
How hot has it been out there?
Apparently we hit 90.
Okay.
That isn't even bad.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's been plenty with the humidity and very low air movement. It's been plenty bad enough of 80s.
That's what we've had here. I don't really consider it a heat wave because 90 is fairly it's it's hot summer weather, but it's not unusual like what the Pacific Northwest has been getting. So I haven't really been considering it as a heat wave, but it's definitely July shitty weather in and
Mm-hmm.
of itself.
Yeah, and so I get home and I'm sitting there going, need more water, need fan, need more water, need fan for like 2 hours, and it literally took me till 5 o'clock before I had any kind of physical food. And now, just before the stream, I had some water and it sank to the bottom of my stomach. I'm suddenly like, oh, my body wants food again. Terrific.
Talking about the weather, that might be related to something I was going to bring up, and that's, I mean, I have a fairly strong AC that's only in my living room, and then I kind of deal with the draft and the open window when I'm in my bedroom. And I'm wondering if going back and forth between my bedroom, that's probably upper 70s most of the time, and my living room, which I try to keep below, 70. I have no thermometer in there, but I try to keep it at 70 or below. And I'm wondering if that's why ever since last week, I tried to take a couple of days off because I was like, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't need to stress out. I can relax a little bit. But for a solid week, I've just been either tired or hungry. And every time I wake up, I'm hungry. And then every time I finish eating, I want to go back to sleep. And I'm wondering if going back and forth between my bedroom and the air-conditioned part of the apartment is part of what's been causing that.
It's possible.
That's a maybe. It's hard to say for sure.
But so today I forced myself to leave the apartment. I did feel like I was going to leave a puddle of sweat in the coffee shop, but I'm going to try to go to the coffee shop or somewhere in that part of town 5 days a week for the rest of the summer, so that I actually can maintain a continuity of time now that I'm not working over the summer.
Yeah, it's also having this job has been crazy. By the way, if things continue to unfold okayish with Quick Trip, I'll be working a second shift closing job. And I have made it aware to them that if possible, could I make Tuesdays one of my for sure days off?
Okay.
Because it is only going to be part-time, so it's going to be like 2-3 nights a week.
Have you talked to any of the people that are not managers that work there to get the gist of how reliable their scheduling word is?
I know for a fact that the fact that these places have been around for a while, that they're usually pretty good about it. And from the manager herself, she said,
"Don't trust the manager about that."
But let me finish. She said that when it comes to having to call in and making this system unreliable, you have to be responsible to find somebody at work. And if it's like an emergency or something, she will fill in if she needs to. Because she doesn't want you literally like walking up to the building with your arm in a cast going, hey, I might not make it today.
Right. I was more asking about I know you said you can't work Tuesdays, but we're scheduling you the next 3 Tuesdays. That sort like I think you said happened at your current job last week.
That more or less was happening.
You were supposed to be off today, and you worked today, right?
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing I was asking about.
Well, that's because that play. Let's be a bit honest here. I'm not going into overwhelming details because I don't want to throw everything out there. But let's just say that things are extremely hectic, and we lack currently a store manager, an actual full-time store manager running things, and that's part of the issue.
I remember you told us about that either on stream or off stream.
Whereas for Quick Trip, this manager has apparently been around for about 6 years at least at this store.
That helps.
Yeah, that'll help a lot in keeping things going.
But yeah, like you said, not to throw everything out there. So how about Thomas? How are you doing this week?
Not too bad. It's funny. It's just compared to the past couple of weeks, there's not really much to talk about. I mean, as far as work goes, I can kind of relate to what Matt's going through as far as when I started the job I'm at. Because, like, I've been in this cleaning job now for, like, feels like 6 or 7 years. Like, this will probably be my 7th year there. But, like, when I started, Jesus, I would get so exhausted so quickly because I'm like, yeah, I'm not really used to this much physical
Right.
activity. And then, like, it's only really taken until now to where I'm like, okay, cool, I can get through this so long as I've made sure to eat and have like a decent amount of water on me. I can usually get through it fine.
Yeah, but I also assume that you also had a more stable schedule when you first joined, though, too. Because it's not so much even that it's hard work and I'm sweating up a storm and stuff while I'm at work.
Yeah.
It's really the inconsistencies and the
Yeah,
constant running around.
Yeah.
That makes it twice as bad for sure. At least.
Oh, and again, I'm trying not to give away what the store is and stuff, but let me just say that this last week I found stuff multiple months out of date. And
Oh.
yeah, the people who came back and have watched me find this stuff are kind of annoyed themselves.
Annoyed that you made them see it, or annoyed that it was there?
Annoyed that it was there.
Gotcha.
Because they need to see it because they need to get rid of that stuff.
I've worked with both type of manager. I've worked with the how dare you make me throw this out, order it again, and get yelled at by my boss for ordering extra stuff. And I've worked with the goddamn how did nobody see this? So
no, these people are genuine. Like I said, most of the people I work with directly in that store are good people, and they're genuinely of the how did they not see this sooner?
Right.
And then they look at me, they're like, well, he's only been here a couple of weeks. Of course he didn't see it.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time he's touched the dang shelf.
Right. Should we move on to tonight's show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been thinking that for a little bit now. So
About
on
time.
tonight's show, we've got a birthday, a little bit of news, a lot of geek talk.
It's all from the same streaming service.
Yeah. And then our episode review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So let's move on to birthday. July 1st is the birthday of Ace Bhatti, who played Harish Chandra in the Sarah Jane Adventures. That was Ronnie's father.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned 51. So happy birthday, Ace. What a name, Ace. It's like Ace Rimmer. So, in news, the big news this week is that the lost serial Evil of the Daleks is getting an animated version. They've announced it. It's due out in September, but their trailers are out now. And while they're not much to look at, it looks interesting enough.
It looks good. Yeah. For what little we've been given, it does look good.
I'm hoping there's a more detailed trailer later on.
Yeah.
And then finally, Big Finish does have a release coming out. It is from a new series from Big Finish that they are calling the audio novels. And it is Scourge of the Cybermen, as read by John Colshaw. And it is a Third Doctor adventure with Sarah Jane. So that is all the news we have. There wasn't really any filming information, yada, yada, yada. Nothing that was confirmable anyway. Apparently, there was a casting call out for Chinese males, which they are inferring means that there's going to be a Chinese pirate episode, but there's no evidence to prove that. That's just somebody's opinion based on a casting call. Okay,
At
moving
least
on.
they're not doing Yellowface.
All right, moving on to Geek Talk.
All right, so I'll start it off. I mentioned a few weeks back that I've been watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars chronological order. I've gotten through seasons 1 and 2 and enough of 3 to give some general opinion. And I think I'm just around the point where the show started to really get its legs and get going. That said, they really made some weird decisions in the beginning of the show. especially when they kind of marketed it as being out of order. Really, really, the first two seasons are pretty much not out of order. And when the most of the episodes where StarWars.com goes out of the way to change, to put them out, to say watch things out of order, some of them don't seem like it's necessary to be in a different order, and some of them just seem flat out wrong. Just because it makes it seem like like entire fleets are moving around and switching generals every week instead of like sticking together for a few months. But yeah, so I think they did themselves a disservice when they said, "Oh, this show's going to be stories out of order," because that turned a lot of people off of the show, myself included, when they could have just not said anything until we got to season 3. There's a lot of, okay, we're taking this one story from season 1 and we're giving it a prequel and a sequel to, you know, to build up these characters. And I think if they had said something like that, it would have been a lot more effective than just trying to say, "Oh, this whole show is out of order." They made the really weird decision in season 2 to have the central character, which is Ahsoka Tano, just not be in half the season. I don't know if there's behind the scenes reasons for that, or this might have been around a time when people were getting kind of annoyed by her character. She was, you know, she was a bit younger than I think a lot of the people watching the show, and was might have been was getting on people's nerves. They definitely build up her maturity a little bit as the later seasons go on. So that might have been why she wasn't in half of season 2.
It's also possible that the voice actors had another commitment.
Yeah, that's also possible for sure. But yeah, there's some continuity issues. I would not have forgiven them in 2008, but in 2021, I find them relatively minor. The biggest issue I have is one that happened in the movie, which is Ahsoka in her literal second day on the job, being able to beat off droids that were strong enough to beat a Jedi Master in the Tartakovsky show. So that's kind of annoying. I wasn't as annoyed by her being able to survive encountering Grievous as some other people were, because they even say in when Grievous was introduced, he needs intimidation, fear, and surprise to be able to beat a Jedi. And if he's lacking any one of those 3, it's not going to work out well for him. And she had no idea who she was, so she wasn't afraid of him and wasn't acting the way an intimidated person would as a result. So she kind of survived just because of that. His tactics weren't really working. So that said, yeah, I'm expecting from my past experience, I'm expecting the latter half of the show to be the stronger portions. So I'm starting to get into that. That's right. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I know I'm probably running close to time, is that Mandalore was a big issue at the time, and I really think if they had focused more on the world building, they could have sidestepped a lot of that, because basically they're saying that within about 10 to 15 years, all traces of the original Mandalorian society had been exiled to the moon. Whereas even if some of like the cops were still like wearing the traditional armor, and like the right-wing people who hadn't been exiled were behaving, you know, the way they expected, I think a lot more people would have accepted it better. Instead, they kind of tried to act like the entire society radically changed as soon as the left-wing government took over. And that's really not how government works. So yeah, I'll continue to watch. My goal is to keep going and be able to see Bad Batch probably at the end of that season if it hasn't ended yet. And yeah, on to Randy.
All right. So I'm going to do this in a little different order from what's in here. I'm going to bounce down to movies and then come back to television streaming as everything that's left is mine.
You're doing an air date order.
I'm doing it in air date order and the order in which I watched it, because what happened was I was stuck here in my hospital room on July 4th. Literally, it was a light day here. There were no doctors in, really. There was nothing for anybody to do. So I pretty much just sat on my butt and watched streaming television all day. I started out my day watching Ant-Man and the Wasp, one of the few MCU movies I haven't seen or hadn't seen until now. I'm not going to take much time on this as it is 3 years old, and most people know what it is. Ant-Man and the Wasp is okay. It's not as good as the original Ant-Man, which by itself was good but not great. So this one comes in at kind of an okay. The characters, the acting was all basically MCU standard, pretty good. But the writing and story was bogged down in so much continuity that it just seemed to slow it down a bit. Thus said, I enjoyed the little bits and pieces that were there. And it's a good watch, especially if you're an MCU completionist. If you haven't watched anything else in the MCU, I would avoid this movie until you have, or just at all. Moving on to WandaVision. WandaVision was the first of these MCU streaming shows to appear on Disney+. It is the story of this little town in New Jersey and the sitcoms it's found itself in. All of which due to, well, actually, that's a spoiler, so I'm not going to say. But you have basically Wanda and Vision living the sitcom life in each episode, and it, as the series gets on, it kind of goes forward by decades. There is a subplot that shows up a few episodes in and tells you what's really going on. But again, I don't want to reveal this to the rest of you, so I'll leave that be. The show itself starts out slow. You're like, okay, this is really kind of hokey. Why am I watching this? Yada, 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 yada. When the secondary plot gets in, suddenly you're hooked. The casting people made some inspired choices, including the fact that in later seasons they cast the guy from the X-Men movies who played Quicksilver as a replacement Pietro. So while he's not playing the same character, he is kind of playing the same character. And it was just a nice way to have a send-off for that actor who only got to be in like 3 X-Men movies. He did a great job because he was not playing the same personality, but it was pretty damn cool. I liked the way it happened. I kind of expected how some of it would end up. There was kind of the surprise villain at the end that I didn't expect. But all in all, if you're familiar with Wanda's history, you kind of know what's going on. Next, Falcon and Winter Soldier. This one had me hooked from the first episode and just kept going. Those of you that know Avengers Endgame knows that Captain America retired and left Falcon his shield. This deals with Falcon basically having to make the choice on whether to be Captain America or not. And at the beginning, it's very much not. It also deals with his home life and deals with other odds and ends that lead up into this massive trip to expose these radicals that thought that life was better during the blink than it is now. All the characters, the Falcon and Winter Soldier come off like buddy cop movies. Half the time they're about ready to kill each other until they basically finally click. And then it's, teamwork all the way. It reminded me a bit of the Lethal Weapon movies, actually. And I'm fond of the Lethal Weapon movies, so that came off particularly well. hold on a moment. Can you BS for a bit?
I guess we have no choice. If he probably has medical things that has to tend to, folks. So, oh,
Of course, bringing up Lethal Weapon just made me think that it would be funny, and like, it just made me think, well, who would be the guy saying I'm too old for this shit? I guess that would be Don Cheadle.
I just happen to think that they should have a villain played by Gary Busey because that guy's got a
Okay,
crazy nut job.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
All right. So, all in all, yes, Falcon and Winter Soldier is definitely one of those things you should watch as an MCU fan. It is not, again, it's bogged down by continuity, but this time you're going into it expecting it. In the end, it really kind of sets the stage for whatever they're planning on doing with these characters next. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And thus, I was really eager when I hit the next section and began to watch the current season or current series airing on Disney Plus, Loki. Loki, of course, has to do with the Tom Hiddleston character, but not the one that we're used to. He's what they refer to as a variant. He's the Loki that was created when they all went back in time and he stole the cube. And he is busted almost immediately by what I could only describe as what Douglas Adams would do if he had dealt with the Time Lords directly.
Yeah.
Because it is such absurdist. It is such an absurdist organization that you're like, what the fuck is all this about? And anyway, he's eventually kind of press ganged into helping them stop this other rogue variant. And it goes on for several bits as he's working back and forth. It is very engaging.
Now I'm going to picture Tara Strong's character as being a hitchhiker's guide.
There's only 4 episodes out. The 5th one airs tomorrow, and you will know whether I'm in this hospital or at home. I am going to be tuning in to watch
Tomorrow,
that.
meaning what, in 3 hours, 15 minutes?
They tend to update around 7, 8 in the morning. So
in several hours.
Yeah. And I will watch the hell out of that because they left it at such a cliffhanger that I'm like, oh my god. And this is only 4 episodes in. I have no idea if this one's planned for 8 or 6 or.
I think it's
it's
one of those two.
I think it's 6, but there have been rumblings that there will be that this will actually get a follow-up season potentially.
Apparently, there is a season 2 confirmed, and the one thing that annoys me about that is that one of the actors is confirmed for that, which I kind of didn't want to know whether that actor survived or not. But you know that's what happens when you follow news of these shows.
Well, we'll see. I mean, remember, there's always the possibility that person actually died and they yanked another variant.
True.
I mean, this is basically making fun of the Time Lords, the Time Space Administration Bureau, any of these overarching bureaucracies that handle alternate time and multiple dimensions.
Speaking of character dying in alternate variants, the showrunner was a writer for Rick and Morty.
I can understand that now.
Okay, I was going to say, if they're going to double in this kind of craziness, I can see where that's going to help.
I can see them now as the Council of Ricks. But yes, it's very amusing. It's amazing how some of it is absolutely not to be taken seriously, and some of it needs to be taken completely seriously. They are just at the point that they are going to reveal what's behind everything, and I'm just like, I have my guesses, but I'm going to wait till tomorrow and then see if I can call it or not.
It is 6
Hmm.
episodes. I saw people referring to the mid-season, but we're technically past the mid-season. There's 2 more to go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yes, Loki is very enjoyable, especially if you love seeing Hiddleston being the fall guy, because he is very much the fall guy for all of this. He is,
Hmm.
I mean, he's this is Loki, the omnipotent god of mischief, and
Yeah.
he is treated like such a schmo.
I mean, I've seen people joke after maybe even the first episode of Loki. It's like, well, it seems to be a trend that all of the people they've made shows of thus far really need therapy.
Mhm. Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of found therapy in each other, but yeah,
Yeah.
Wanda's freaking broken, and yeah, Loki's been broken since he became Loki.
Yeah.
Loki's been broken ever since Hulk pummeled him into the ground.
Oh no, he was broken before then.
I don't think, yeah,
Well,
he
it
was
became more
especially
extreme afterwards, for sure.
he was especially broken by Thor movie 1, which in this character's memory was just like 6 months ago.
I suppose.
Yeah. And there's points where he's trying to be the evil Loki douche, and it just fails. It fails so hardcore. Because the people that are dealing with him knowing him and are more powerful than him, which is not something he can stomach well.
Yeah. You know, the comparison...
It helps that I think this show starts 20 minutes after he gets beat up by the Hulk.
Yeah, pretty much.
If
More
that,
or less, like about an hour or so.
They're hauling his ass down the elevator to prison. He's got a freaking muted thing in his mouth and everything, and then all the shit happens, and the cube literally lands at his feet.
Yep.
And he's like, "Okay."
And he made it about 5 minutes after that.
Yeah. He gets blown through. He gets blown through whatever teleports there, and literally before he can stand up, or no, he stands up, and then like 30 seconds later, these guys show up and arrest his ass.
It's funny that it's only hitting me now. But do you guys think that at least one scene in the first episode kind of makes it seem like the TVA is almost a piss take on like the DMV?
At times,
oh, for sure.
The queuing scene.
The take your ticket. I'm the only one in line. Take your ticket.
Yeah, that was just supposed to represent the bureaucracy, but yeah, it's very much like the queuing scene from Hitchhiker's Guide, the movie. That's like, come on, Hiddleston's British. He should know how to queue.
I could definitely believe some sort of info screen like the one that Tara Strong's character is on, telling you rules at the DMV.
Oh God, that character, yeah. Missed minutes.
We love queuing because we love having a good moan about it, about how long the line is, how slowly it's moving, and how those darn foreigners have pushed ahead of us because they don't know what a good queue looks like.
No, you see the thing. I will tell this scene because it's a completely superfluous scene. He gets into there, and there's one other guy that's protesting in there, how he's not going to take a ticket, not going to get this, and he looks, and the queue line is completely empty. So Loki does take a ticket, just shoves it in his pocket, walks up, and he gets up there. The guy's like, "Ticket, please." They didn't give me the option to have a ticket. They did that. And he gets basically derezzed right there on the spot. And Loki just starts shuffling through his freaking jumpsuit, going, "Where did I put it? Where'd I put it?" Right here. Ticket. But it's only supposed to kind of set the point of how callously bureaucratic these guys are, which basically makes them Vogons. But it's kind of interesting, the lore behind this and what you find out. Like I said, there's only 4 episodes out, so there's 2 episodes left. And yeah, I really can't wait for tomorrow's episode. I'll watch it over breakfast if I can.
Actually, I just remembered. I'm gonna have to.
This one, you don't need much lore other than the first Avengers movie.
Pretty
And
much.
they will drop
Mhm.
lore from the other stuff in there, but it's
Mhm.
stuff that, all you need to know about it is the stuff they show.
It's like Endgame, where they tell you a bunch of what happens in Thor 2. Like, I haven't watched Thor 2, but between Loki and Endgame, I think I know the most important plot points.
And so, yeah, all you really need to know is what they tell you, and you're good to go. And then they just kind of go off on their own. And once you meet the other variant, things get really interesting.
Mm.
So, yes, I highly recommend Loki. You got to watch it. It is insane. It is funny. It's probably, of the three, it's my favorite right now.
Hmm.
I'll see. I have to wait till it ends for me to fully give that particular judgment, because they could blow it within the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, you never know.
But
Mhm.
I doubt it.
Loki
Mm.
could hear bells and burn down a city for no reason.
Mhm. Okay. So that is our Geek Talk. I am sorry for the interrupt, but the guy came in to talk about one of my machines.
Mhm.
It was not, that was something I already knew, really.
Okay.
Anyway, so from here, we move on to the episode summary, which is also me.
All right.
Blah.
Stopwatch is ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Let me get a sip of water.
Yeah, I needed to quick tab out for a moment and get the stopwatch ready because I'm like, oh wait, I forgot I have a stopwatch tab.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
So we start out on this pirate ship, which is apparently in a calm sea. And a bunch of these people are hauling in somebody who had an accident. He got a cut on his finger, and they all act like it's the end of the world. And apparently for him it is, because this causes a large black spot to appear on the palm of his hand, and it summons this ethereal lady in an evening gown who, when touches him, he basically looks like he explodes into dust. After this happens, they find a knocking coming from the hold, and of course, in there's the Doctor, Amy, and Rory. Well, that causes some debate about what to do with them, mostly toss them off the ship. But Amy takes umbrage to this, manages to find a sword and a new outfit, and basically challenges them to a fight to try to save the Doctor and Rory. This, of course, the pirates suddenly act very scared of the blade, and since she does get carried away with herself over the course of it, she does wind up slicing somebody's hand, which causes the same thing to happen. And both her, and Rory. What happened to Rory?
He
How did
threw
he-
the sword aside and it cut his hand.
Okay, he threw the sword aside and cut his hand on it. And he also winds up with this black spot on his palm, as does the other guy. And they both start acting really doofy. And then the siren shows up, and Amy holds back Rory from running towards the siren, but the other guy does, and they see him blow up, and they quickly all decide to take refuge in the powder room, because it's the only place where there's no water. Because they discover she can come up out of water. In the powder room, they find the captain's son, who apparently stowed away the last time the boat was at port. Apparently his mother died, and he was all alone, so he found his father, who he thought was a respectable naval officer, not a pirate. Well, this doesn't go over well, and the boy has the coughs, which is one of the early symptoms of typhoid. This, of course, means that he is already marked for deletion by apparently the lady. It's not the blood they're after, it's any of the sick. Fortunately, there's no water in the powder room, or there wasn't until the boy opens a barrel, and the lady tries to come out of the barrel. They close it, and then discover they will need to go to the captain's quarters to try, or not the captain's quarters, to the hold to try to rescue the TARDIS. If they can get the TARDIS, they can materialize in there, get everyone out, get them to safety. Only, of course, it doesn't work that way, and the TARDIS decides to go off on its own. Meanwhile, the 2 surviving crew members decide the hell with this, and they're going to freaking bolt and take the treasure and stuff. The boy, tries to stop them. He manages to cut one of them, which means he has the black spot too. But the other one manages to escape. Coming back, they find the guy, who retreats into the captain's quarters, but he's quickly taken by the lady after hurting himself, and they discover it's not the water, it's the reflection. And of course, the boy has a wonderful metal that, if you polish it, would give off a perfect reflection. So they run back, try to take care of that, try to start destroying any glass, everything. But they manage to hold it off for a time. But then a storm comes up. And of course, with the storm comes the wind, so they want to get the sails going so they can get the fuck out of there. The problem is, the thing comes during the storm, and it, first of all, they need it to take Rory, because Rory was knocked overboard and was drowning. It also took the boy. So now, after that happens, they decide to just let it take them. They each prick their fingers. She comes, and when they wake up, they're on the deck of a spaceship. They discover that this spaceship's in kind of like a parallel universe that's connected to theirs, or something like that. The Doctor isn't very forthcoming in giving an explanation that he says is correct. He gives one and says, well, it's absolutely nothing like that, so we don't know. Anyway, it turns out that the ship has a large medical facility, and this thing is basically like the AI avatar of the medical system, so it's taking all the injured and trying to heal them, except it doesn't know how. They managed to revive Rory by dragging him into the TARDIS and using CPR. Yes, the TARDIS is there too, by the way. But because the boy has typhoid and there's no known cure for typhoid, he would have to stay there. The captain elects to remain there and become the new captain of this spaceship, and the rest of the crew decide to remain with them. Pretty much end of story, other than the ongoing plot line.
All right. That was 6 minutes, 6 seconds.
All right, so let's talk about what we liked about the episode, if anything. And Bill, you are first.
I'm first, huh?
Yep.
Not
Matt, you.
Yeah, that's a new one. I'm not used to it not being Matt. I like the way they I like the monster aspect of it. The whole it's genuinely creepy with the before they know it's a doctor. The doctor showing up and singing and trying to avoid it. It's not quite horror movie deep, but it's deep enough to be genuinely have stakes and be creepy and not really campy or goofy in any unintended way that to me.
Definitely an interesting take on the mythological / folklore thing is actually alien stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of some of the better parts of the old Jack the Giant Killer movie when they had some creepy stuff going on. But much better effects.
All right. Matt?
General thing I liked overall. Oh gosh, trying to slim down the list. What do I want to pick out? I do like the captain's character. He and the Doctor seem to butt heads, but it's usually not. Despite him obviously trying to show who's in authority, they don't butt heads too hard, and he generally does seem to be a smart enough man to actually listen to the Doctor once in a while, because obviously weirdness is afoot to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, damn it, that was mine.
Also, there's other interesting developments with the captain as things continue to go through the episode.
Okay, Thomas.
I guess I'll just go with the acting overall. Like there's probably like a few little bits here and there that are a bit but otherwise the acting's pretty good in this. Even from the kid actor, which is usually the one weak point. Like regardless whether it's Doctor Who or not. But honestly, I think the kid did an alright job as well. I guess it probably helped that he wasn't called upon to do too much.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he was there to play a sickly boy, but he did have quite a few lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with the sets. Both the pirate ship and the spaceship both were very recognizable as to what they were. The spaceship was done on kind of a minimal level, but it was enough that let you know, hey, alien ship that can look out onto our dimension. Yay. And they got it right. And the pirate ship was pretty damn accurate and looked right, except, it needed a few more rats.
The rats injured themselves. We just didn't see them in the cages.
Now let's talk about what we disliked. Bill.
So I felt that the part on the part in the sick bay wasn't as effective as it could have been. It relied a bit too much on the Doctor expositing things, even though like this is clearly is technology advanced enough to understand English language, react to it, and to take on a human shape. But for some reason, it can't communicate with them other than by leading the Doctor to explain things. So that kind of wasn't as engaging as it could have been if they had used other ways of conveying information.
All right, Matt.
For a group of swashbuckling cutthroats, a lot of those pirates are pretty darn useless.
Well, they weren't allowed to use their swords, so...
To be fair,
Still.
they had just watched the vast majority of their crew be picked off one by a monster. That might take any group's teeth away.
Yeah, they were being exterminated by superstition. That's never a good thing.
Yeah, they just very much seemed like cannon fodder, and that's all they were.
They were cannon fodder.
All of the daring ones had pricked their fingers already.
Whoops.
How about you, Thomas?
So this occurred to me while the summary was happening. But what the fuck ever happened to the guy that the kid gives a cut to? Because I'm trying to remember in my head, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing him get zapped.
I think he stays in the powder room until the end of the episode.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, I don't remember him getting taken. So does that mean he's just left behind? Because the script kind of forgets about him.
When it comes through the crown and takes the kid, it doesn't take that guy at the same time?
No.
It should have.
He just disappears from the story entirely, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's right, because they do that when they go out into the. That's after like they leave the powder room because the sea isn't still anymore, right?
Yeah, because of the
Yeah.
storm.
Mm-hmm. And he
Yeah.
Actually,
He's
no,
just not
wasn't
there anymore.
wasn't that part grabbed by the siren literally leaping out of the water and landing on the ship when they go back out at one point? I thought.
maybe I did not
Yeah, it's
personally
like
notice what happened to him.
yeah, it's like they go back to warn them about the polished metal thing, and then he's just not there, from what I recall. He's just like, I don't recall ever seeing that character again, and I'm just like that occurred to me while the summary was happening. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to that guy? And it's like he shows up at the end, I think, but it's still like, well, wait, what happened between? Did they have a scene and they just cut it? Like,
That's what I'm
what
wondering.
happened?
I'm wondering if maybe there's an edit we missed somewhere that actually did tell us what happened. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my
Yeah.
head right now.
Because yeah, it's so funny. Because I'm like, they just completely forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I'm checking to see if there's anything. I don't even remember what that guy was called.
Hmm.
Was that
'Cause, like,
Mulligan?
No, Mulligan's the guy that burns himself
Was-
and gets taken
what-
from the crown.
Was he in the scene at the end when there's all the pirates sitting in the cockpit,
Yeah,
like
we
looking
said he
around?
was.
I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think he is, but it's just we never actually see him get taken, so it's really weird.
Mhm.
It's like it's just like scene missing. Oh, yep, he's there. uh,
No, apparently something happens.
Yeah, I think we're just forgetting for some reason.
yeah.
Yeah, because isn't that where the doctor? Or wait, is it Mulligan that the doctor gets the hat from?
No, I
'Cause-
think he gets the hat from the guy who gets taken when they're the guy who got taken by the leech. Like the
Okay.
guy who got latched onto by a leech or something. Huh. God, it's so weird. It's just, it's funny. It's just like he's there
He
and then
was
he's not.
imprisoned in the armory and then taken by the siren to her ship. So
Huh.
there is nothing that said that there was nothing out of continuity there. So we must be missing a scene. Just ourselves.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, clearly it wasn't a very memorable scene.
All right.
Yeah.
So where are we at?
Oh, that was me, so I think
That
it
was
would be
so it's
you
down to you now.
Okay. So I had something. Let me think about it for a second. Oh, yes. So this alien race that's on here is supposed to be nothing even remotely human, right?
Yeah.
Then why was the writing on their shoulder pads in English?
The TARDIS.
That I was about to say. I guess the only thing I can think of is TARDIS translator. That seems to
might
be the answer
the
for
only
everything.
thing, but yet it didn't translate for what the doctor was saying, which should have been the same language.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of like, what the hell there? It's not not stable, continuity wise. Yet
Hmm.
I distinctly looked at the shoulder pads of those aliens, and it's like DIPT or something like that. I think they might have reused those from something and just didn't quite work for me. So yeah, if they had ramped it up with a little more alien writing and alien tech, that would have been nice.
So I went back. I skimmed through the episode. that other guy that the kid cuts never gets taken. There is no scene where he gets taken. He just vanishes off the face of the earth as far as the episode's concerned. So all I can think of is that they had a scene where he was, and then they forgot to leave it in, or something, or like, I don't know, something happened and they just forgot. Or just in the version that was available, that it's just not there for some reason. It's so weird.
Yeah, by the way, he's the boatswain. This basically is the character. He's not given a name, he's just the boatswain. All right, favorite scene, Bill.
Should I take the obvious one? I guess if I'm going first, I might as well. Pirate Amy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so Pirate Amy.
Swashbuckling Amy. Okay.
Yep.
Don't really need to say more.
Yeah.
Which one I want to go with? Forget everything I thought about up to this point.
Which one?
Yeah, seriously.
Just the fact that it was just his go back to for this episode because he's trying to catch up with the rules as quickly as he can, and he's not quite catching up yet. Like 3-4 times.
Yeah.
It was a good gimmick for at least one episode. Forget all my theories up to this point.
Okay, Thomas.
I'm gonna go with just after, like, as they are getting out of the TARDIS as it's fucking off, and just the Doctor's reaction of just like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. It's just like, oh well, fuck, we're screwed.
Well, that's my safety valve gone.
Yeah.
All right. I think mine, just because it's such a beautiful scene, is the first appearance of the Siren. Where you first see her for the first time, and you're just like, whoa.
So after she's already taken someone off screen, and then this would be when Rory pricks his finger.
Yes,
when,
and you see
when
her
Rory
for
and the other part get hurt, yeah.
And you see her for the first time.
I'd say Rory pricks his finger when Amy just chucks a sword randomly and it cuts her husband.
Amy, you killed Rory. Oh my God, you killed Rory, you bastards. So let's talk about our least favorite scene.
So I'm going to have to say the CPR scene. I get that it was there for added drama, but
it went on way too long.
If that and if Rory was capable of speaking using his own lungs, even if intubated, that means that the machine has already done everything that CPR could do. At that point, it would all be in the hands of the medical equipment that, if they have good enough medical equipment that he was able to speak, their medical equipment should be human compatible enough to go the rest of the way. But you're not just going to speak and have full conversations if there's no blood going to your brain. So clearly the CPR is not necessary.
Yeah, it's, for me, I mean, it's weird because it's like, did it just get rid of all the water somehow and it's just his body's still in shock outside of it, or what? Like, but even then, it was so funny watching this back the first time for that, having done CPR training recently. Yeah, and I'm just like, Amy, come on, it's 30/2, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. What are you doing?
I would be perfectly fine with it if Rory was actually in need of CPR and a pirate on like the next bed over was like, no, you have to do chest compressions or something like that, I'd be fine with that. But the way they handled it, I just no.
Yeah, and it's not only that. I mean, if they had if these guys, instead of just having this thing hooked up to their throat, was in some kind of stasis field,
Mm.
so that they were basically frozen in time,
Yeah.
that would have worked better for this plot.
Mm.
That meant that they
Right.
didn't just fix them; they just froze them until they could figure out what to do.
Yeah.
But
Especially because he doesn't bring up any water at all when they do
Yeah.
when he does
Yeah.
finally come out of it.
Instead they try to do it on the cheap, and that was a mistake.
Mm.
Okay, Matt, how about you? Least favorite scene?
Least favorite scene. Which one do I want to go with? Honestly, it's very head tilting. The last scene on the bridge. It's technically a very nice scene, but just to see that kid is gonna be like permanently for the rest of his life hooked up to a hose.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's a very sheltered half life for the rest of his life.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
for being an upper, it's kind of still got a bit of a downer hanging right there.
Mm. I mean, there's been worse in Doctor Who.
I suppose, yeah. But still, it's just like,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah. And I guess at the same time, like, it's interesting that the Doctor didn't go like, well, it's space. There's probably a cure out there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the doctor, when he contracted an unknown alien virus, immediately knew where to go. This guy, no, it's typhus fever. He can't do anything. I'm sorry. Fuck you, doctor.
I mean, like, as if telling him would really help, but it's like, here, I'll put in the coordinates to X planet and go there and they'll fix it.
Yeah. Here's new Earth.
Although I guess that's we don't know if we're in the future or the present. I guess we're in the present day.
And we don't know if that ship is capable of traveling through time as well as, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of we don't knows.
Right.
Yeah.
Although we don't know we don't know what time zone the next episode that they appear in is either. So
Yeah. All right, so where are we at?
I think we're up to me.
Okay.
Do we have so it's Bill then Matt, and was it Matt just then?
It was just me that just finished. So yeah, it's you.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. I would say the alien bogies bit, because to me that was like, at first when he puts his hand down, it's like, I'm just thinking he's put his hand on the corpse and he's realizing, oh fuck, ew, I just put my hand on a corpse, and then it turns into the alien bogies bit, and I'm like, oh. As kind of like still sort of funny as him wiping the snot off on Amy's sleeve is, it's still just kind of like, I could have done without that.
Well, it was supposed
to. Wasn't the corpse like reduced to a skeleton?
Yes.
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
So it's reduced to a skeleton, but like their mucus and such is still
all over the keyboard or
around.
something.
The
Yeah.
flesh is gone, but the snot remains.
It's still liquid enough to get stuck on your hands. It hasn't like crusted over or anything.
Yeah, there's a little bit of logical cohesiveness missing there.
Yeah.
And I am going to have to pass because you all took mine.
Kind of nailed all the least favorite parts.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, final thoughts, Bill.
So I normally kind of when watching this in order, you have that it just has that kind of syndrome. Oh, it's in series 6, but it doesn't have Iver Ongse, and therefore it's just kind of filler that you don't pay attention to. Watching it out of order as a result actually did it a lot of favors because I was watching it completely independently of her plotline and was able to just enjoy it as an episode. And I was it actually positively surprised me. I really liked how the siren was done, at least for the first. I don't know if first half is accurate, but I unfortunately my DVD player doesn't show how far along you are when you pause, so I couldn't tell where the cut happened. But you know what I mean when I say first half, anyway. That's just getting into weeds. But yeah, so that first part on the ship, I thought was really good. It was really well done. Unfortunately, the latter half has a lot of stuff to pick apart. Maybe they didn't have as much time to flesh it out, or maybe they just thought that, you were already enjoying the episode enough that you wouldn't really care. I don't really know, but I think that part could have used a bit more. Altogether, I think it was a pretty solid episode, um, which is just kind of overshadowed by the fact that it's not a plot heavy episode in the middle of a plot heavy season.
Okay. Matt?
I recall seeing this episode when it first came out and feeling like this was one of the better episodes of the season. Yeah, it did avoid a lot of that season's foibles, but it does have a few minor issues, but I consider them to be mostly minor. A lot of the main characters for the story are really well done, and there's some decent background for them. Um, I feel some of the answers are very hand wavy, but I can deal when we're just kind of trying to finish off a story that was otherwise generally really very good up to that point.
Anything else?
That's about it.
All right. Thomas.
This funny one to rewatch because I hadn't seen it in years. To the point that I thought the twist was that the pirates were the crew of the spaceship and they were just in some weird simulation for some reason.
No.
And then like watching it and getting to the actual twist, I'm like, oh, okay. That makes a bit more sense, I guess. I mean, like, and as insofar as it can, because it is kind of like, almost trying to pull it the like TARDISes being within each other at the same and like without each other at the same time, kind of weird space shit going on, and just like to a point, it kind of loses me in that last bit, but it's still just like, whatever, I'll go with it. And it is funny because I feel like a lot of, and I will have brought this up before, but I feel like with a lot of New Who, having watched so much old Who now, there will be plenty of episodes where I'm feeling like, okay, here's like the 25-minute mark. It would be great if this would just cut. And then there was another episode that was only a half hour.
Yeah.
This was actually one where I was like, no, this is paced well enough, at least to me, that this actually works as like a single like 40 something minute episode. Which I don't know how many New Who episodes there are that can really say that, or at least as far as like that I've watched more recently. So yeah, issues that I have with it aside, this one actually holds up decently well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, again, I had not seen this in like probably 5 years.
Anything else?
No, that's about it.
All right. So I do recall this as being one of what I refer to as the rare gems of Series 6. You got it right coming off of the Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon, which was an ugly fest. And you got this, and it felt more like Doctor Who. Then you got The Doctor's Wife, which outshone this, but and then you went right back into the soup. But I remember going, hey, this is pretty good. And it is. I mean, the acting is very good. The characters are nice, at least the main ones. The main secondary ones are developed well enough that you get to know more about them and feel like they're real people. The monster was well represented. The sets were good. It was only the writing on the final like quarter. I wouldn't even say third half. I'd say it was more like the final quarter. The climax and follow through were the only places where the writing was a little bit dodgy, and that I suspect was because the writer got rushed to end it. So, all in all, it's a decent outing, and I quite enjoy it. It's definitely one of the better parts of Series 6.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's rate this puppy. Bill, you are going to have to give us your opinionated opinion first.
I'm gonna say 4.0. If the ship stuff or if the spaceship stuff was as strong as the Earth-based ship stuff, it could have been a 4.5 or a 5. But as it is, a 4.0.
All right, Matt.
I'm gonna actually have to say that I'm with Bill. I was just borderline. Maybe it could push a 4.5, but not quite. It's 4.0.
All right, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that train going. I think it's a 4 as well.
Well, we're unanimous.
two 4.0s in a row.
Yeah, because that's exactly how I feel about it too. It has enough wrong in that ending that it knocks it down a couple points. But other than that, yeah, that'll make it a 4.0, which, as we know from last week, is going to put it at 192 out of 392 things reviewed. It is on par with a lot of things, but The Lodger, Planet of Evil, Frontios, Carnival of Monsters, The Censorites, The Aztecs, A Good Man Goes to War, Attack of the Cybermen, The Runaway Bride, Vigils on Veros, Heaven Sent, Terminus. Wow, there's a lot. The Invisible Enemy, Castrovalva, Planet of the Spiders, Rose. I think this might be our most common number here. And Spyfall.
One of, yeah.
It is better than The Brain of Morbius, Colony in Space, Warrior's Gate, Into the Dalek, Kerblam, Midnight, and Blink. And not as good as Oxygen, The Daemons, The Pilot, The Space Museum, Can You Hear Me, and It Takes You Away. Once again, there we are at 192 out of 392 things reviewed. That is all we have to say about Curse of the Black Spot.
All right, so please let us know in the comments below what you think of the episode. Do you agree with our assessment or do you disagree with it and why? And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to get our YouTube exports every week, as well as like the video. And of course, follow us on Twitch. in order to watch our streams every Tuesday evening.
All right, so next week, after 9 years and 410 episodes, we are going down to our final Doctor Who review of stuff that stuff that's not current, i.e., stuff that's already been aired. This is the last one, also from Series 6. We will be reviewing The Rebel Flesh, The Almost People. Written by Matthew Graham and starring Matt Smith as the Doctor, Karen Gillan as Amy Pond Williams, and Arthur Darvill as Rory Williams. Tune in, because after this, it's all going to be spin-offs until the new season comes out. See you then.
End of an era.
See you then.
Goodbye.